This episode of the Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you by our proud sponsors, Thrive Fantasy, Built Bar, and ExpressVPN. Now, using promo code DTSN, our listeners can get $20 bonus cash on a deposit of at least $20 on Thrive Fantasy, 10% off their Built Bar protein bar order, and 35% off their ExpressVPN annual subscription. Once again, all you have to do is use the promo code DTSN and tell them the Downtown Rams podcast sent you. Now enjoy the show.
Aaron Donald creates the fumble. Goff goes crashing into the end zone.
It is intercepted by Jalen Ramsey.
Robert Wood, touchdown. Picked off by John Johnson. Touchdown, Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air.
Henderson with a good run and a first down. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Van Jefferson. Everett in stride. Wow!
Play for the Lombardi.
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast. It is episode 335. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen, and it's just me today. Unfortunately, unable to join me is Alexis Kraft, but the Rams won, and they won convincingly, 24-3. They took down the New England Patriots on Thursday Night Football. You have to love it. The Rams are 5-1 at home. Patriots fall to 2-5 on the road. This Rams team just once again continues to have what you could argue is the best defense in football. When you look at this from top to bottom, just right off the cuff, Kenny Young had a phenomenal game, having a pick six, pass breakup, a sack, 8 tackles. Troy Reeder with 7 tackles, including one for a loss. Michael Brockers comes away with 2 sacks on the quarterback. Leonard Floyd comes away with a half sack, a few pressures. Morgan Fox, a sack. Aaron Donald, a sack, and a half sack. I mean, the Rams were just absolutely stifling Cam Newton. Cam Newton went 9 of 16 for 119 yards and an interception. He was sacked 4 times, had a passer rating of 53.9 and a QBR of 2.9. Cam Newton on the ground, that's been his main thing this year, not to be. He had 7 carries for 16 yards. This Rams defense hold the Patriots to 113 yards passing and 107 yards on the ground, mainly due to Damian Harris, who did leave this game due to an injury, 11 carries, 50 yards. But what a performance from Cam Akers, the rookie running back. We've talked highly about him on the show. He has absolutely blown my mind. I did not expect that type of game from Cam Akers to have a 29 carry, 171-yard game. Darrell Henderson comes away with 2 carries for 5 yards. That's it. The bell cow Cam Akers has arrived. Sean McVay has given over Cam Akers, has given the running back duties to Cam Akers, and Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown became backups in this game. So that's what I'm taking away in this one. Jared Goff, 137 yards, a touchdown, an interception, 5.5 yards per completion, 16 of 25, a sack. He comes away, passer rating of 74.9. I personally think he played better than these stats are showing, to be honest with you. So, when I look at that, I definitely have to say that. I think Jared Goff played a better game than what shows up on the scoreboard, what shows up on the box score. At the end of the day, I mean, this is a really good defense. We talked about it pregame with Brady Farkas coming on the show. When you have guys like Stephon Gilmore and J.C. Jackson and, obviously, Devin McCourty and Adrian Phillips, I mean, they have a very talented roster. Miles Bryant came away with the only interception in this game for the Patriots. But, all in all, you have to feel good if you're a Rams fan. You have to feel very good moving forward. The Rams only have 3 games remaining. They have the Jets, and they have not won a game this year, and 2 teams of which they've beaten, the Cardinals and the Seahawks. So, kind of going into those games, obviously we'll have a preview at some point. We're going to take some time off, obviously, because, the Rams played their game on Thursday. We'll enjoy the weekend, and then we'll be right back to the grind next week. Have a guest on to talk about the Jets. Might be a mystery guest of somebody that you might know and might not expect, so keep that in mind. But really just kind of going over this, the Rams just did a stellar job of, game planning against the Patriots. Look, the Patriots, they want to run it down your throat. They're, third in rushing this year, and the Rams, they ran 107 yards, but on 29 carries, a 3.7 yards per carry average, only got 12 yards as the longest run of the day with Damian Harris. But the key here is that the Rams were able, with only 137 yards passing from Jared Goff, they were able to make things happen with Cam Akers. You have to give credit to the offensive line. You have to obviously give credit to Cam Akers, but the offensive line and the receivers and the tight ends that blocked. Thought this was a pretty impressive game from Joe Noteboom. Look, Noteboom, he comes in, he fills the void for Andrew Whitworth. It was impressive at first, then he struggles. And he kind of comes back down to earth, what have you. But the thing is, in that 49er game, that's all that you can really say, because after that, I think he's looked pretty solid. I think it was just a bad game altogether. But in this one, I thought he really made significant strides in the run game. And that's the thing is he's looked good in the passing game for sure as a pass protector, but in the run game, he struggled. And this game, him and David Edwards had themselves a game. They were very efficient. Cam Akers had no issue running to the left. He had no issue running pretty much anywhere. You look all over the place. Blythe had a good game. Corbett had a good game. Havenstein Everett I think he had 2 false starts. But Everett, aside from that, I thought, he had a good game as far as in the blocking department. And he only had a catch for 9 yards. But, just to see the strides he's made as a blocker, I think is very encouraging. Obviously, Higbee had a chance to play. He was actually the leading receiver with 34 yards. Kupp had a touchdown. Woods and Kupp were great in the blocking game. Akers comes away with 2 catches for 23 yards, and that put his total yards from scrimmage at 194 yards. So this guy has the best rookie running back performance this season. He has the best rookie running back performance against Bill Belichick ever, and he has the best rookie running back performance since Jerome Bettis for the Rams. So just a lot to unpack there, but Akers is the guy. And I love Darrell Henderson. It pains me to say that Akers is 100% the guy moving forward, and that Henderson's going to lose a lot of carries, because I don't think Henderson did anything wrong. But I just think that's ultimately what they wanted when they drafted Akers. They envisioned him being the guy, and I think tonight really showed. The game was slowing down for him. We heard that. He really proved the game was the game was slowing down for him. When he went out there and showed it with 5.9 yard per carry average, a 35-yard scamper, no touchdowns, but he didn't need one because 171 yards on the ground. He was definitely helping out this Rams team. But this is a really good sign moving forward. This is a team that. They were third in offensive total yards coming into this game, which you would probably never know because they were around, I think, 18th in points per game. And in this game, don't get me wrong, I mean, they finished below their point per game average. They finished at 24 points, which is pretty much around their average. So it's a little bit below, but right around. This is not a high-scoring offense, but it can be. And I think, you kind of saw the ingredient. The Rams went to a 2 tight end set more than, the 3 wide receivers. And I think you saw a lot of success in that regard, with those stretch runs. And they didn't really go with the outside zone runs. They did a lot of double teams and, they used a lot of, pulls, of course. So, I think they're taking advantage of the athleticism they have on their offensive line. They're taking advantage of the fact that Cam Akers is a great running back. This is somebody that's not going to dance in the backfield. He has one move, and that's forward. We talked about it so many times, during the offseason. The Rams drafted a running back coming off a year where the offensive line wasn't the best and the running game struggled. They drafted a running back that ran at Florida State, and I mean, he had nothing there, and he led the country in yards after contact behind the line of scrimmage. So, I mean, that's insane. He was getting the ball in the backfield and getting hit. So this is somebody, he knows how to create yardage. He wants to make the first man miss and then run over the second man. I love it. I love his style of running. It's similar. He's got a similar style of running to Steven Jackson in the sense he doesn't want to go down. But he also has a very similar patient style to Marshall Faulk. I think really I noticed the Marshall Faulk comparison. It's not a true comparison because he's not 100% Marshall Faulk. I think he's got a lot of guys to, compare himself to. I think he kind of reminds me a little bit of Dalvin Cook in a sense. But with that being said, I think Cam Akers brings a lot to the table as a full-on bell cow. 2 catches for 23 yards is nothing compared to what he can do. But I also, moving forward, I definitely hope they use Darrell Henderson more. And the way I kind of feel like, this is gravitating towards is you could say that they used Akers a lot more because just the game plan, that's how it worked and the game flow. But I don't know. I really think this was kind of a changing of the guard permanently moving forward. And I think that Henderson's going to be used the way, Madison is over in, Minnesota. I think, Alexander Madison, who is the backup for Dalvin Cook, when he's healthy, he gets about 12 carries to spell Dalvin Cook. I think that's how they're going to do it. Or they could use it the way Todd Gurley and, C.J. Anderson were used in the playoffs in 2018. I don't know how that's going to go. But what I'll say is that I think the Rams have a good problem to have where they have too much talent that they can't just give to everybody. But what I'll say this, when you have guys like you have an Akers and you have a Henderson, I think you should really consider, and I know it's not common anymore, but I really think you should consider a split backfield formation. I think it would throw defenses off if you could toss to either Akers or Henderson. I think it would throw teams off if, you took it out of the shotgun and you had Henderson and Akers in the gun next to you, and Goff takes out of the gun, and Akers and Henderson both run wheel routes to kind of split the field. Just different ways to kind of manipulate the defense, and I think that's definitely something that could work. But you have to feel good. I mean, 186 total yards on the ground for the Rams, 5.2 yards per carry on 36 carries, including 4 rushes for Goff and a touchdown that tied him with Lamar Jackson on the season. Crazy, right? But I just think that there's a lot to unpack here and a lot to feel good about. And, the Rams did this on prime time. Yes, they were at home, but the Patriots were at home longer than they were. They beat the Chargers and they stayed in L.A. So, you have to feel good moving forward. And this wasn't Jared Goff's best game, but Jared Goff, he turned the ball over on a freak interception that wasn't really his fault. It wasn't even really, Woods' fault, because at the end of the day, that gets dropped by 99% of receivers. Robert Woods' strong hands made that even possible to get picked off. It was a great play, don't get me wrong. I mean, Miles Bryant, very, very impressive play. But I definitely think that has to be said, and that's why I'm saying it. So, just looking 24-3, Sean McVay is 27. He's up 27-16. As far as the 2 games that he's gone up against Sean McVay, he's outscoring them 27-16. Including the Super Bowl. Look, this win was great. Rams fans hate the Patriots. Obviously, when you lose 2 Super Bowls to the same team, it's going to happen. But this was more impressive because the Rams came out and they took over the game and they never really let it go. I mean, the Patriots, here's an interesting thing, folks. The Patriots landed in the red zone 4 times against this lockdown Brandon Staley defense. This lockdown Brandon Staley defense allowed fewer. So the number is actually fewer points-wise than times that they got in the red zone. Think about it. You get a field goal, you get 3 points. If you get a touchdown, you get 6. They only had 3 points on 4 red zone attempts. They were 0-3 on 4th down. They were 3-13 on 3rd down efficiency. This was a butt-kicking by Brandon Staley's defense. So you have to feel good if you're the Rams. Obviously you'd like to throw the ball a little bit more. You'd like to get more yards. You'd like to be more explosive. But you get 318 yards on New England, one of the better defenses in football. 17 first downs to 10. You win the time of possession battle, although New England came back at the end. But the time of possession, 31-46 to 28-14. Sean McVay is a top 5 coach in time of possession this year. The Rams are. So that you have to feel good about that. Penalties, pretty interesting here. 5 penalties for both teams. They're 2 of the least penalized teams in the NFL. Obviously, with all due respect, I mean, to the coaches, I mean, they're 2 of the best. So it's not a shock, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. Just a great performance by the Rams. Exactly what you want to see on a short week. Not something that maybe you necessarily expected, but it's a dominant performance. It ends up being a blowout, kind of like I had in mind it could be. I didn't say it would, but I said it could be. But yeah, I mean, you just have to feel good moving forward. That's really all I can say on that. I mean, you know, we can look a little bit at the Jets game, you know, down the road, but I mean, the Rams are in the driver's seat here. You know, 9-4. You know, the rest of the way, pretty winnable games in my opinion. I mean, they're not the easiest games. You know, Seattle and Arizona, but I mean, the Jets, they don't have a win. So I look at this and I look at this team tonight, and I'm thinking, you know, tell me a team that can beat the Rams if they play the way they did tonight with the defense and with the running game. I don't know of anybody. You look at the Chiefs as maybe the only team, but I mean, you know, that's the thing. And I want to make it very clear, when you go ahead and you're at your water cooler or your virtual water cooler tomorrow at work, and you're celebrating Victory Monday, and somebody says, you know, well, it's not like the Rams are the best team in the world or anything like that. I would love for you to challenge them and ask them who is better than the Rams right now. Yeah, sure, they're 9-4. You could argue the Saints, but have the Saints played what the Rams have played? I mean, lately the Rams have played a tough schedule and they've won. The Patriots weren't an easy game. They're a desperate team at 6-6 that's better than their record. Yeah, sure, Cam Newton has struggled, but you also have to go up against Bill Belichick. You have to go up against a legit running back in Damian Harris. A legit defense that did its job. The defense held the Rams to 318 yards. And only 171 came on the ground. So 171 came on the ground. My point is that only 132 came from the air. I think that's definitely something that has to be said. So Patriots didn't play bad as far as their defense is concerned. And once again, the Rams have not put together a full game. They started off this game up 17-3 at half. They end up only scoring 7 points the rest of the way. Now, they held the Patriots to 0. Their defense was great, but you would like to see the Rams play full 4 quarters, complete game. You know, I think this team is better than the 2018 Super Bowl team. And I think when you look at this league right now, there's not a team like in 2018. Like, the Patriots weren't even the best team that year when they won. It was the Rams and the Chiefs. You saw the 54-51 game. Those were the 2 best teams. There's not a true team that sets themselves away from the pack. You have the Steelers, who just lost to Washington. That doesn't worry me. What worries me, if I'm a Steeler fan moving forward, is that Devin Bush is out, and he's been out, but Bud Dupree is out, their star pass rusher. So that it has to be said. Then you look at the Saints. The Saints will be getting Breeze back for sure, yes. But the Saints, to me, they've become somewhat of a one-dimensional offense with Taysom Hill. And their defense is really good, but you can beat the Saints. They're escaping games. And against the Rams, things that are flying, they wouldn't fly against this Brandon Staley defense. The Kansas City Chiefs, they can't stop the run, and they can't really run the football despite having Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell. And they're a great passing team, but they're not as dynamic as years past. So That's the thing. They can't stop the run. They can't really run the football that well. More so, they can't stop the run. They run the football fine, but they can't stop the run. And the Steelers also can't run the football. So that's also something. Plus, Randy Fichtner, their offensive coordinator, holds their entire team back, holds their entire offense back. When you have Ben Roethlisberger and all those weapons, Deontay Johnson, friend of the podcast, Chase Claypool, James Washington, Juju Smith-Schuster, Eric Ebron, you should be one of the top offenses, if not the top. So there's just a lot of those teams. The Packers, they're not a physical defense. Their defense is somewhat regressed for whatever reason. Mike Pettin used to be a great coordinator. I don't know what happened. Aside from that, the Bills. But the Bills beat the Rams in kind of one of those really weird games where the Rams really their defense hasn't played down to their opponent like that since. So I think the game would be a lot different. I think the Rams have gotten a lot better. The Bills can't stop the run. Their defense isn't as impressive. It's probably the worst defense under Sean McDermott, which is surprising because I thought they had an elite defense. But their offense is pretty good. I still think the Rams would beat them. You have to name a team that you would no doubt think the Rams would lose to. Seahawks, they've already beaten. The Cardinals, they've already beaten. The Vikings, they're 6-6. They can be beaten. The Colts, good defense, but that offense doesn't scare me with Phillip Rivers. They can be beaten. The Titans, they lost to the Browns, who I think can be beaten by... See, I just don't think there's a team. There's not a top dog. Sure, going up against Derrick Henry, that could be a problem, but I also think this defense has really gotten a lot better against the run. This team just doesn't really have too many holes. You could nitpick their special teams unit. As long as Jared Goff, this is what it comes down to. As long as Jared Goff takes care of the football, they're fine. They win football games. They're way too talented to lose. So that's really what it comes down to. You have to feel good about that. You have to feel good moving forward. I just think if you're a Rams fan, you look at this game and you're like, wow, the Rams really, they did exactly what I was hoping they would do, but I wasn't sure if they would do. They sent a message to the rest of the league. It doesn't matter that this Patriots team is now 6-7. We just embarrassed Cam Newton on national television. We just absolutely shut down Bill Belichick. And we're out for blood. And look, I'll tell you right now, it's going in reverse order, but if the Rams go to the Super Bowl this year, it would be 2 years after they went to the Super Bowl and lost. The reverse order, and what I mean by that, is the first time they went to the Super Bowl against the Titans, they won. Then 2 years later against the Patriots, they lost. Could be in reverse, folks. If that's the case, I think this team is better than 2018. I think they can win a Super Bowl. Jared Goff already has the experience. Sean McVay has the experience. This team's a playoff team. At 9-4, I feel pretty comfortable saying that they're guaranteed to be in the playoffs, barring an absolute collapse of losing to the Jets, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. And even still, that might be enough to get them in the playoffs. But you just have to feel good about this. And the way the Rams won was the most impressive thing. So that's all I have for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Just stay tuned. We're going to have all sorts of fun things. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to follow me, at JKBoganDTSN is where you can find me on Twitter. At the Alexis Craft, you can find Alexis on Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel, Jake Ellenbogen, all caps. So you can find me there. I'll be doing some videos, some interesting videos moving forward. And also, you can find our merch. If you want to help us out, support the show, support the brand, we have our brand new logo with the gradient style, DTR. We have hoodies, we have shirts, all sorts of that. You can find that all over our social media accounts. We're going to be posting shops on Instagram and Facebook. Twitter, there's no shop thing. So stay tuned for that. But that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoy your Victory Friday. And we will be back next week to break down the Jets and Rams game and on the quest to winning 10 games for, the third time in the last 4 years of Sean McVay's career. So, it's definitely something. But, all right, guys, you take care and go Rams.